Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, May 9th. Trade developments in a positive direction means a positive direction for markets. Yesterday during regular trading, all three major indices hit a strong stride and closed in the green. The Dow advanced 254 points or 0.62%. The S&P 500 added 32 points or more than 0.5%. The NASDAQ gained 189 points or more than 1%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are up 0.22%, so a little over 0.2%. That's positive. I mean, really, what's going on? It's the trade talks between the U.S. and China. That's creating positive, momentum for the markets again today. President Trump did indicate a major announcement this weekend, and indications are that the White House will be lowering its tariffs on China, but they're going to remain elevated. But that number keeps fluctuating. And at first, I was seeing they're going to drop them to 50%. Then it was 58%, and this morning I'm seeing 80%. So we'll have to see. As that number gets higher, it's a little cautionary for the markets, but. There was an interesting data point last night that came out of China. I mean, China's exports, they actually came in, rather positive. They reported April shipments up 8.1% year over year in terms of, U.S. dollars. Now, the estimate was for 1.9% gain. So coming in at 8.1 is huge. And, the idea is you look at the where the goods are being shipped. They're being shipped to other Asian countries, because in the U.S. they're the exports dropped 21%. So they're pushing that off to Asia. I don't know how long Asia countries will be able to eat up and take in that inventory, but we'll have to wait and see. Another interesting item is the Trump administration is likely to rescind some of those Biden era AI chip curbs. That could be positive for the semiconductor stocks this morning. Fed speak, hey, that really highlights the economic calendar today. There's a host of Fed speak going on today. Adriana Kugler, she's the Fed governor. She already spoke this morning, and she indicated that unemployment at 4.2% is likely near the Fed's maximum unemployment goal. So that's kind of positive. Then you look at the earnings, right? McKesson, CloudNet, DraftKings, TKO, Trade Desk, Pins, Microchip, they're all trading higher after earnings announcements. So that's good to see. And then, kind of taking a look over what's going on in Europe, and you got the DAX. The DAX is kind of near that all-time high. I mean, it's up 120 points or 0.51%. And, it's really about the positive framework, about the positive deal with the UK and the US. It's a framework, but that provides a framework for other countries to follow when negotiating with the U.S. So you get one out of the way, and everyone's going to look at that deal to kind of see to work their deal around that. So that is a step forward. In London, hey, London's up by 0.39% this morning. You got positive action in autos and energies. France, the CAC is up 0.61%. The luxury stocks are moving higher. You're taking a look over, in Asia last night, and for the most part, we did see gains. I mean, we look at the Nikkei; it jumped 1.56% or 574 points. Auto stocks really led that move. But in Hong Kong, jumped 0.4%, led by gains in properties and financial stocks. China fell 0.3%. But those export numbers were really positive. So that gives them a little bit of a negotiating tool heading into this weekend. Then we're taking a look at oil. Oil remains, bullish. I mean, it's up almost 2% this morning. Well, WTI is up $1.23 to $61.14. That's up 2.05%. Brent is trading at $64.03. That's up 1.89%. It's again the Chinese U.S. trade talks, is improving the market sentiment, raising hopes for better demand for oil. So that's seen as a positive. And that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, trade talk developments, a host of earnings, and a slew of Fed speak. Let's get right into it. What is going on in terms of earnings action today?
Well, we want to start off with Trade Desk, ticker TTD, Tom David. I mean, they beat by 8 cents. They did that on higher revenue. That stock's up 14.27%. I was a little concerned about this one because of TikTok, but the word is that they were moving, advertisers were moving it over to other venues for advertising. So yeah, the 8%, 8-cent beat, that's positive. And then you got McKesson, ticker MCK, Michael Charlie Kilo. I mean, that stock's up, about 2% this morning, 1.99%. They beat by 29 cents, although it was done on lower revenue. And Pins missed by 3 cents, but it was done on higher revenue. Look at the stock this morning, it was up 13.24%. So that's all positive. Upcoming Monday morning, yeah, Monday.com, MNDY, their EPS is 70 cents, expected move is 14%. Then you get the Fox Corp, ticker FOXA, Frank Oscar X-Ray Alpha, their EPS is 93 cents, expected move is 5.71% when they release Monday morning, Emily.
Bill, another one that came out last night was DraftKings. That was your pick of the day yesterday. And by the end of the show, we will check in on that, see how that one went. Now on to economic events. As you told us, the highlight here is a whole bunch of Fed speak. You're already gathering comments that came out and plenty to look ahead to throughout the day. So, Bill, give us a rundown of the day's economic events.
Well, listen, the calendar's alight today. I mean, at 1 a.m., you got at 1 p.m. Eastern time, you get the Baker Hughes rig count. That's really the only economic. That's a minor one. But in terms of Fed speak, at 5:55 a.m. this morning, Fed Governor Michael Barr was speaking. At 6:15, New York Fed Bank President John Williams gave a speech. At 6:45 a.m., Fed Governor Adriana Kugler was speaking. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to hear from Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin from the Richmond Fed. He's going to be giving a speech at 10 a.m. We're going to hear from Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee at 11:30. New York Fed Bank President John Williams will be speaking again. And then at 11:30, you're going to hear from Fed Governor Christopher Waller. That could be interesting. At 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, Cleveland Fed Bank President Beth Hammack will be giving a speech. So a lot of Fed speak going on today, Emily.
You'll be keeping track of all of that Fed speak using your NewsWare. I'm not sure how else you would be able to gather all of that information as it happens and really put their comments together to get a good feel for the overall direction of monetary policy, the health of the economy. You're also watching earnings using your NewsWare, and still you're following other data and information, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks, all using your NewsWare. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 23 higher. I got 7 lower. So, that's kind of a positive start for the day. The big one is Cisco, which is, up 2% this morning. In terms of the FANG stocks this morning, they're all higher with the exception of Netflix, which is, slightly lower. I mean, Netflix had elevated put volume yesterday. I did see that going in, so I was a little concerned about it this morning, but everything else is in the green. So, that's good to see. Looking at some of the news behind the tape, I mean, Google's really, been on its heels this week, but then another story out there about them, being fined by Italy's Monopoly, which is suing Google for, 2.97 billion in euros over its market dominance. Yeah, they're a dominant player. There's nobody else. But it's a shopping store. You choose whether to go there. They're not forcing it. So it's kind of hard to, say they're doing something wrong. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, we're talking Boeing, ticker BA. I mean, that stock is also, continuing to show gains this morning. Stock's up 0.68%. IAG, British Airways, they ordered 32 Boeing airplanes and 21 Airbus aircrafts. And this is for their long-haul fleet. This is positive for Boeing. Remember, they've been getting a lot of orders lately, so that's all good news. NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, they're going to release a downgraded version of their H20 AI chip for China in July, it looks like. And Microsoft, ticker MSFT, they're banning their employees from using the DeepSeek app. So that's kind of interesting. In terms of guidance news, Trade Desk, ticker TDD, they see Q2 revenue coming in at $682 million at least. And, the street estimates were $680 million. So coming in at least $682, that's an uptick. Gotta like Trade Desk, TTD. JFrog, ticker Frog, they see full year 2025 estimates coming in 68 cents to 70 cents. Street estimate 68 cents. I got to call that an uptick. And McKesson sees full year 2026 adjusted EPS 36 cents to $36.75 to $37.55. Street estimate has it at $36.83. That's on the low end. So I'll call that an uptick. In terms of shareholders meetings today at Biva, they're going to be having a shareholders meeting today at 9 a.m. The Progressive, ticker PGR, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 11 a.m. And Marriott Hotels, ticker MAR, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 8:30 a.m. In terms of buyback news, ticker WY, William Yellow, Westinghouse, they announced a 1 billion share buyback plan. HubSpot, that's ticker HUBS, Hubs, their board authorized $500 million share repurchasing agreement. And that's what I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us on this Friday?
I'm going to go with Fox Corp, ticker FOXA, Frank Oscar X-ray Alpha. Now, their earnings are out Monday morning. The EPS is 93 cents, but the expected move is 5.7%. So it's okay. I mean, if you look at yesterday's call volume, it's a little light, 156 calls traded to 82 puts, but the open interest is very positive, 10,505 contracts to 5,855 contracts. So, that's good. Major brokers are semi-positive on the stock. They did deliver a nice beat last quarter, but, they did have a lot of political ads that were running, the sports ads that were running, so they had a lot of good advertisements. We'll have to see how this quarter shapes up, but I do think they're posed for a beat. To get in, I got to get in at $50.20. That's $50 to $50.20. That's kind of my range that I'm looking at. Because if I gets in there, I think I could get a beat this afternoon. I don't really want to hold it into earnings. I may. We'll have to wait and see if I can get the 1% goal during the day. I'm taking it and walking away. But that's my pick of the day. Ticker FOXA, Frank Oscar X-ray Alpha, Emily.
Another earnings play today, Bill, and aiming for that specific entry point. Another strategy, solid, that you used yesterday as well. Coming up, we'll do a recap on that pick of the day before we sign off. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Okay, what do we see here? Trump advisor Navarro interview ends. Gotta see what he said. They got that big military parade going on in the U.S., in China right now, in the Soviet Union, Russia right now, and being attended by President of China. The ticker VIK, Viking Holdings, floats out newest Nile River ship. Newsmax, NMAX, Nancy Michael Apple X-ray. They signed with Hulu Live for TV coverage. It's interesting. SelectQuote, ticker SLQT, they responded to allegations in a DOJ complaint. Delta Airlines, ticker DAL, and Korean Air to strengthen partnership with WestJet. Yeah, Trump on Truth Social, 80% tariffs on China seems right. See, it keeps going higher. Trump is reporting about exploring taxing the ultra-wealthy to offset tax cuts elsewhere. Fed Governor Michael Barr says Trump tariffs seen lifting inflation, weighing on growth this year. AstraZeneca, ticker AZN, announced statistically significant results from a drug trial that they have. Match Group, ticker MTCH, they announced a 13% reduction workforce. That's all I'm saying this morning, Emily.
All right, Bill, before we get to trading on this Friday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day. It was DraftKings, and they did release earnings yesterday. They reported Q and adjusted EPS of 12 cents, which was in line with consensus estimates. Their revenue rose 20% to $1.409 billion, just slightly below the consensus of $1.43 billion. They did cut their forward-looking guidance slightly down from where it had previously been and slightly below consensus estimates, but that doesn't mean the stock is down today. Bill, how did your call work out?
It was a solid winner. I mean, DraftKings, DKNG, the stock opened up at $36.06, $35.06. And then it fell. It fell all the way down to $34.40. Now, I was talking about a $34.50 entry price. I actually got in at $34.41. So right near that low. And then it ran. It hit a high of $36.11 before closing at $35.35. Look at the stock this morning. It's trading 36.25 to 36.30. It already hit a high at 36.58. So if you look at that from either the opening price or you look at that, from my entry price, either way, it's a winner. So DraftKings, DKNG, big winner, Emily, big winner. Very happy, very happy.
A win there, Bill. And we will check in with you Monday about today's Fox Corp pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week. Get NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.